I'm thinking it's this sign.
There's no treatment, there's nothing they can do about it.
It's just too much. You're powerless.
The National Geographic documentary, Blink, presents the story of a family in which 3 of the 4 children have been diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa.
Let's go all in and fill their visual memory with as much beautiful thing as we can.
The family sets out on a journey to show their kids the world while they can still see it.
See a sunrise on a mountain, make friends in other countries.
Good chance you've never heard of retinitis pigmentosa, and there's good reason for that, as it affects just 1 in roughly every 4,000 people.
It is considered to be a rare genetic condition, but nevertheless, there are about 100,000 Americans living with it.
I didn't even know this disease existed.
So what exactly is retinitis pigmentosa?
Retinitis pigmentosa is a genetic condition that affects the retina. The retina is the light-sensitive part of the eye that is really the only part of the eye that can do the actual seeing.
The retina's photoreceptor cells are responsible for capturing light, but over time, retinitis pigmentosa causes those cells to break down, with the damage eventually spreading throughout the retina. Symptoms usually begin in childhood.
It's sort of been my whole life I've known. I had bad night vision.
Brothers Quinn and Reed Manning didn't think or know anything was wrong when their symptoms first arose.
You know, we lived in Florida at the time. We were going to Disney World, Universal, things like that. And yes, they could not navigate the Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, in the dark.
We had a field trip to Universal Studios, and we were going through the Mummy ride, like through the line. It gets pretty dark in there, and I kept whacking into like the barriers, so I had to have my friend guide me through, you know.
For me, it would be like the movie's ended, right, and you're trying to sneak out before the last credits are still rolling and they haven't turned the lights on. And the boys are a little bit more challenged with that.
This video demonstrates what a healthy eye normally sees, then one affected with retinitis pigmentosa. Huge difference.
And it leaves the patient with sort of a tunnel vision type of an experience. And then in the more advanced stages of disease, even that central vision can get affected, and that would impact one's ability to read or recognize faces. So as you can imagine, can have quite a profound effect on somebody's quality of life.
It was finally when we went to visit Reed at college and we're in the aquarium and he was grabbing onto my arm and I went, really? Seriously?
Martina first took her sons to an optometrist, then an ophthalmologist.
And that's when they were like, oh, something might not be right. And then they sent him to a retina specialist, and the retina specialist was like, something might not be right. And then that's when we went to Duke.
We do all the tests, and they're telling us, yeah, so you have this eye condition that makes it so, you know, the cells in your eyes are dying, and, you know, you'll go blind eventually.
Well, I did not process it well, I'll put it that way. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry for getting emotional, but I had a hard time with it. Yeah.
Due to its complexity of being a collection of hundreds of genetically different conditions and not a singular one, retinitis pigmentosa is a moving target of sorts. There is no cure.
As we talked about, no cures right now, and unfortunately, no real treatments right now for the majority of these.
So I feel like I can kind of see stuff in the dark if I stare directly at it, but my peripheral vision is completely gone.
As the disease progresses, it can lead to complete and total blindness.
The scary part of it all is the word progression, right? It's bad today, it's going to be worse tomorrow, it'll be worse the next day. This just is going to continue on in that path. So, back then it was just, they had bad vision, deal with it. The fact that it's going to, now that we know more, it's just going to get worse, that's the part that's the challenge.
Really, it's a long-term disease, right? Because like the degradation, it happens over decades.
It is out of my control. Listen, I had a very hard time with it for a very long time. I walked the neighborhood crying, probably for months. But eventually I kind of got to this point where, I have to be proactive. I can't just be feeling sorry for myself or my children.
RP is not something anyone can get. It's an inherited disease, passed down generation to generation. Kevin Manning didn't know it, but he was a carrier. He doesn't have RP, but others on his side of the family did.
In the family that we're talking about, it was a more unique kind of a situation where it can actually skip generations, which is something that occasionally happens, yeah.
I was ignorant of it, didn't think it applied to me, right? So this was a big learning shock to the system, honestly. Yeah. And then it's one thing that their eyes are challenged, and now the other thing is that, technically I'm the one responsible for it.
How does that make you feel?
Oh, pretty poor. Right? I don't know what the rating on this video is, but you know, fill in the bad words, right? I mean, that's hard to bear. You spend your life trying to do the best you can for your kids, and the big challenge they're going to face is, you know, you caused unknowingly.
Chalk it up to youth, or just being boys. Reed and Quinn are taking their new reality in stride, about as well as anyone could.
At least we're both in it together. We sort of got someone who's going through the same thing. And I don't want to say I was like happy to be diagnosed with it. It was that great, but I'm like, you know what? It's not the worst case scenario.
Obviously, I don't exactly want to go blind, but at the same time, there's not exactly a cure for it, so I don't feel like I should really get too worked up over it. So it's more just like an acceptance sort of thing of understanding, well, one day, you know, I will have these problems, but right now I don't, so I guess it's just enjoy being able to see why I can.
Thanks for watching, and if you don't want to miss any more great regional stories, please subscribe to our PBS Charlotte YouTube channel.